Hours show, where we're going to do a quick recap of the stock market. But this show is intended for you, the viewer. All you need to do is to leave your favorite ticker symbol or the ticker symbol that you want to learn about in the comments section below. And we'll take that ticker symbol and we'll run with it. We will pull up the stock chart for that ticker symbol. We will give you the price action for the day. We'll look for support and resistance price points, chart patterns if there are any forming, quarterly financials if they were recently released, and top news for the ticker symbol you requested. So I hope you will join us. We're going to do this every evening. Hopefully, we can build a community of investors that are looking to learn because that's what we want to do. Share any knowledge that we have gained through investing with the community of investors. So, if you have a ticker symbol that you're curious about, you want to see how it did for the day, you want to find out if there's any support or resistance for that ticker symbol, this is where you want to be. So, first, let's do a recap. And forgive me if there are any glitches throughout this program. This is our first time doing it. So, I've got a couple bugs to work out, but hopefully, it will all work out in the end. So, first up, I need to share my screen, and I'm just going to look at the market real quick and how it did. So, I believe gonna look a little off for right now. That's okay. Gonna look a little 3D there, psychedelic. All right, this should work right here. So I've pulled up Market Watch because there is, give me one quick second, just making sure I have this right. Okay, at the top right here, I know it's tough to see on your screen, but the Dow closed at 31,832, up 0.10% or 30.30 points. The Nasdaq was up had the biggest moves today, up 3.69% at closing at 13,073.83, and the S&P 500 was up 1.42%, closing out at 3,875.44. Now, the first stock that I'm going to jump into here is Tesla, because we've been watching this stock closely because it has fallen hard since hitting its all-time high of $900.40 on the 25th of January. But today we finally got that bounce on Tesla. So the ticker symbol TSLA, Tesla, right here, we're going to pull in closely. Take a look at this for Tesla here. Change it here and go to 1 hour chart to get a better view of what happened. So Tesla, it was on this downward spiral, you could say, falling as low today as $595. And that was up from yesterday's low. But anyways, right here is when the bounce occurred. So before, and I'll measure this for you so you can see where it was. So right here at the bottom, this is close yesterday. So from close to open, right here, Tesla was already up 10.8, 10.9% in after hours. So overnight, so after hours trading and then pre-market trading, Tesla was up 10%. And then from that point, and we can measure it again right here from open to where Tesla closed, right here, another 13.1%. So Tesla was up significantly today, much more than many others. And if you notice these different bars that you see around in different lines, so we had mapped out for Tesla, it was in this very defined descending trading channel, very defined. And then we put this future green box on here and mentioned in a few videos ago that Tesla would either fill in this box, continue to break down, or at some point it would have to reverse and bounce out. So Tesla reversed at $554, and that's when it made its bounce. So yesterday, when the market closed, Tesla was down to $554. Then there was a massive jump right here. You can't, it's kind of small so you can't see it. But there was a massive jump of 5.7% in after hours. So again, the stock opened up 10% already and gained another 10% during the day. And then you can see the candles right here, only one red candle throughout today. And this is on the hourly chart. So every hour that the market was open, pre market and post market, there was only one red candle. So I find that interesting, to say the least. But that's Tesla. Tesla is kind of tricky to call. It does have support and resistance, and I'll just point those out real quick for Tesla. So the bottom I had planned out for Tesla was right here at $565 because there was a lot of support for Tesla at that point. And Tesla fell just below that to $554. So I missed that one by $11, but that's okay. We can't call it every time, almost any time. It's almost luck if we can time it that perfectly. So I knew it had support at 565. And then the next support level was 600. And you can see 600 acted as resistance for Tesla yesterday and the day before. Okay? So once Tesla broke through that today, I knew it was going much higher. We have the next support level at $625. Now, 3 or 4 trading sessions ago, that was acting as resistance for Tesla. It would get up to $625 and then come back down. And then finally, the last line I had drawn out here for Tesla is $660. Now, if you notice, if I continue drawing this line out, we'll see something interesting for Tesla. $660 right there. Let's just make this line right here a little bigger, easier to see. And if you notice, there is a little area right here I want to point out. So let's do this to make it a little more visible. So in this green circle right here, where you have a green candle, a red candle, a green candle, it's interesting because $660 was acting as support for those 3 candles. Now, you can't gauge much off of 3 single candles throughout a whole day or for the whole year of 2021 to determine what a stock's going to do. But I do find that interesting. If Tesla does pull back tomorrow, because being up 20% in one day isn't unheard of for Tesla, but it surely is something unique for a company to do. That 660 is going to be interesting. If it does fall back a little bit, will 660 catch it? or will it fall below that and go to a lower support? With this right here acting as support at $660, I might be inclined to say that Tesla is going to find support at 660 as it builds momentum and strength to go on a leg higher. All right, that's a quick view of Tesla, real quick. Now let's just pull back in here. Gonna have a little glitch for just a moment, and there we go. All right, so let's look at another stock. What would you guys like to look at? CCIV, Lucid Motors. You want to stay in the electric vehicle sector for our beginning episode? Well, we can do that. So let's just hop back in here and give me 1 second to switch this around. All right, let's just go look at Lucid Motors, CCIV, and what they're doing. So we've got some boxes pulled out for them. Of course, they were in a defined downward, excuse me there for a second. They were in a defined descending trading channel there for a little while before it hit rock bottom. And in this blue box right here, this is what we had marked out as support for CCIV, Churchill Capital, Lucid Motors. There's so many names. You want me to stick to the ticker symbol? Do you want me to call it Churchill Capital, Lucid Motors? Whatever you guys would like to do, that's what I will do for you. I am here to help you. So we'll just go with CCIV for right now. So CCIV, I had this blue box here. It was the support box, and it was set at $20.50, and it ran up to $21.50. And I felt very confident in this box that anywhere in that dollar range, it would catch CCIV, and CCIV would either consolidate along that support line or bounce off of it. And it did bounce off of it. And you can see here, it bounced right just below this $20.50 level, and it got down to, see right here on the screen, $20.40 was its low. And this was 2 days ago. Now it shot up from there, and then it went up to our resistance box, which is the red box across the top, and that's anywhere between $24.50 to $25 even. Now, if we draw this line out, because Lucid Motors has now been a couple days since I was in here, since the bounce. So if we put our red box right back in here, you can see there's two things that happened in the box. We have the green candle here, and then we have the red candle. This red candle right here peaked out at $24.99. So this box acted as great resistance for the stock. And then we have two little green candles. If I expand it some more, you can see it a little bit better. We've got two green candles right here. One from the last hour before the bell rang and the regular session ended, and one really small green line in after hours trading. They bumped right up to this box at $24.50. So again, I feel pretty confident that this is going to become a consolidation period for CCIV until Lucid Motors comes out with some type of news, whether it's a real prototype production car that journalists can touch and feel and, experience the car itself and actually drive it, that would be incredible. All right. Let me go back over here and just make sure things are working the way they're supposed to. Got it. Go back in here. All right, so back into the chart. CCIV. So you can see it's acted as resistance in this box, just like we predicted that it would. $24.50 to $25 even. Now, the support may have moved up a little bit. So we had support in this dollar range, $21.50 down to $20.50. But there looks like maybe support could be forming at around $22 even for Lucid. If we go back in time, and that's really what you have to do when you're looking for support and resistance levels, you have to go back and see what was acting as support and resistance through the stock's recent history. So this big run up that you see right here in the middle of your screen, that's something that you can ignore when you're doing support and resistance because it's like a one-off thing. It popped off, it went up, and then it sold off and came right back down. So that's not data that we can use. So we're looking at $22 even. And if we do that, on the left side of your screen, if we open this one section up right over here. So we're looking at $22. So $22, let's mark it here real quick. We're going to $22 even. That's where that candle landed, right here. So if I draw a line across here, $22 even. And then we kind of zoom in here a little bit and look for any type of support. Maybe we could say this was support right here because it bounced out of that. But then there was this gap up period here. So we can't really account for that. And let's go over here. Resistance, 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 resistance. And then it sold back. It came up past the line and sold back down. I see more resistance at $22 in the past than I do support, but that doesn't mean that that can't happen because a lot of times when it comes to support and resistance lines, old support lines can become new resistance lines, and old resistance lines can become new support lines. So that's something that could happen for Lucid right here in this section, right here. All right, so what's another company that we should look at? Let's stick with the EVs and how about Lordstown Motors? How's Lordstown Motors been doing? Well, with the EV sell-off, let's go to a little broader. Go to the 4-hour chart, get a little broader picture here. So if we look at Lordstown Motors, ticker symbol RIDE, RIDE, you can see they had a very defined ascending trading channel right here, marked off with these two blue lines. And then right around February the 11th, February 12th, Lordstown Motors started to sell off, and then it sold off in this descending trading channel right here. And then broke out of the channel, back in the channel, broke out lower, again, back up, down. And there was almost a second level of support, this other blue line that you see right here for Lordstown Motors. And then we get to when everything was falling apart. Let's go in a little deeper here and see. Okay, so starting on March the 3rd, when Lordstown Motors was at $20, it started to melt down further and further. So this total meltdown from the beginning of March. So if we take the highs it had on March 2nd, which were $21.87, and then we measure that to the low that we had on the 5th of March, that's a 31%, excuse me, that's a 31% decline just in a matter of a few days. And then once it hit its bottom right around here, about the $15 price point, then it started to recover and pick up steam. Lordstown Motors was up 6.4% today, so that's great gains. But today was a very odd day. It was a great day in the market. We had all of these red candle days. The stocks were falling, and seemed like everybody was paper handing it and just folding and selling and caused more red candles. It's like the once it started falling, it was a snowball effect and the market just kept coming down. But the good thing about prices coming down like this is boy, oh boy, is it a good time to buy. If you look at stocks that have fallen hard, and let's just do a quick comparison, all right? Just a quick comparison. We'll go right over here, and this is Google Finance. You can do this too. I'm going to go with CCIV, okay? And then I'm going to compare. We're going to go over a week, and then we're going to compare other competitors. So let's look for Lord Lordstown Motors. Okay. All right. So we got Churchill Capital. CCIV is the blue line, and Lordstown Motors is the yellow line. And if you look, the biggest dip right here on March the 5th at 11:30. If you had a crystal ball and you could predict and time the market perfectly, you would have bought at 11:30 on March the 5th. And that's, of course, Eastern Standard Time there. Excuse me. So if you look for who's on a bigger discount, really, by the time they got to their bottoms on March the 5th, they are very, very close to to a discounted price. Churchill Capital over the past 5 days are down 25%. Lordstown Motors down 23%. So it's not a big difference. Let's see if we throw in someone. Let's throw in someone. Yep, I see it there in the comment section. Workhorse. Yep, WKHS. All right, let's do Workhorse. Okay, so we put Workhorse in the mix, and we go right to the same spot, 11:30 a.m. See, Workhorse, they're all down about the same. Okay, right here at this 11:30 mark. CCIV down 25%. Lordstown Motors down 23%. Workhorse down 24%. So they're all in line with each other. The whole EV market, it seems, was in sync with its falling and then rebounding, except there's a couple differences. Number one, if we go back further, Workhorse is going to have the hardest fall because of all the USPS drama. Okay. So, and let's just put this on the chart. Let's go one month. Let's see what 6 months looks like. Okay, let's go back here. All right. So the dark blue is Lucid Motors, CCIV. You can see they had the biggest run up compared to Lordstown Motors and Workhorse. So over the past month, where all three started out the same, right here, this big run up for CCIV came down hard. But then here they are, they're all lined up again. They're just slightly different, but pretty much on target. So right here we have CCIV at $22. We have Lordstown Motors, which is the yellow line, in second place at $16.26. Then we have Workhorse, which is the light blue color, at $15.50. So going on a discount here for this March the 5th, they're all three the same. They're all three the same. They're just a couple percent difference. 25%, 23%, and 24%. So they're all right there in line with each other. But since this bottom right here, who has had the greatest takeoff? So if you're looking, oh well, stocks were green today, maybe I should buy now that things are green. Well, that's not the right strategy to have. That's chasing the green candles. You don't want to chase the green candles. You want to prepare and be ready to take advantage of pullbacks and dips. That's why the phrase buy the dips even exists. So, right now, this light blue line, remember that's Workhorse. So Workhorse has had the best recovery over Lordstown Motors and Lucid Motors. And if you look at the chart here, even Lordstown Motors has slightly outperformed Lucid Motors since the dip on the 5th of March. So that's interesting to look at. And this is a way that you can compare to see what stocks are discounted the most. Now, there's another way that you can compare stocks, and that's using Google Trends. So if I go in here, CCIV, and we're going for, oh, they don't list it that way. So let's do it this way. Let's pop in Lucid Motors. It can load anytime now. All right, and then we go to the right side here, and we can compare. And let's put in. Let's see. Can I do ticker symbols? No. So all right. So Lordstown Motors. All right, and then let's plug in Workhorse Group. And it there's two options here. The first option is search term. You don't want to choose that. The second option is company. That's the one you want to choose to make sure that you're getting the right search terms in here. So what Google Trends is showing you is how many how many times people are going to Google search either on Google, on YouTube and searching for these companies. And then when you combine it like this, you can look and see, well, what company has got the most interest in the public at large right now. And by looking at this, we can see. So this goes back to March 15th, 2020, all the way to March 6th of 2021. So just about 1 year's worth of data. We have Lucid Motors in blue, we have Lordstown Motors in red, and we have Workhorse Group in yellow. So if we look at this, the red line, let's just start with that one because it is nearly flat compared to Lucid Motors and Workhorse. Not a lot of search volume for it. You can see a couple bumps. We got a bump here the first part of September, and then we have another bump right here, the midway of November of and that was both last year. And then we have another bump here, and this is the last week of January of 2021 this year. And then one more little bump, and this is midweek of February 2021. So that's Lordstown Motors. There's not a lot of interest right now in the public at large. But if you look at the yellow and blue line, remember blue is Lucid Motors, yellow is Workhorse. So big pop right here for Workhorse. And this was the end of June, beginning of July, 2020. And then you can see here's a spike right here for Lucid. Both Lucid and Workhorse have a spike here. And then really this year, 2021, this is where the blue really takes it away from everyone, and that's Lucid Motors. So there's a lot of interest this year in Lucid Motors. And if we go back to the stock chart, I'm going to go to 6 month stock chart, give it a moment to load. And the dark blue is Lucid Motors. So this right here is stock price, right? So here was that big rise and big fall for Lucid, and this was the midway of February, right? And then we go back over here to trends, and we're looking this big blue spike right here. Guess what time frame that is? That's also the middle of February. So it doesn't correlate perfectly, but it does correlate together in some ways. So when there is, if you go to Google Trends, you can search for anything. I mean anything. But sticking to the stock market here, and since we seem to be on a EV trajectory tonight, you can see that there is a correlation between when more people are going to Google to search for a company, there is a correlation to the stock price rising. Now, there could be a couple of things at play for why that is. Number one, it could be some sort of news or company event, or maybe the CEO is making the rounds on TV and there's more awareness about the company. That causes people to go to Google, and that causes them to start typing in Lucid Motors and start reading articles about them and going to their company and investor page and, oh, what's this? CCIV is merging with them. Oh, let me check out CCIV. And then wrong chart. And then people start to think, well, this is a good investment. Lucid Motors, 20 some dollars. Well, Tesla, well, it just reached $900. So yeah, that's a great big. Would you say somebody from Tesla now works at Lucid Motors or owns Lucid Motors? What did I read? That's how people are thinking and that's how people are reacting. So if you are interested in a stock, use Google Trends to compare it to other competitors to find out which one has more public appeal because the more public appeal it has, the greater chance that the stock can rise. So I didn't plan to share this lesson at all. That's what I love about live streaming is we can go down many different rabbit holes and learn lots of different things about investing. So here, this is just a very quick very rudimentary way where you can use Google Trends and Google Finance in combination to one another to compare competitors within a field to see which one is the better buy. Because if you were looking at Lucid Motors right here around this, that right, let's say right here at the very beginning of February, and you were thinking, oh, this is a good company. You've done your due diligence, you've done your research, you've looked at this company and said, wow, this is a company that's got a bright future. And you started to invest in them. And again, on the chart, the beginning of February, and we can go here to the beginning of let me just double check that date. February 7 to 13. So let's find 7 to 13. Okay. So on that chart, we'll use right here. This is February 10, somewhere right in the middle ish. So back on that chart, this was the bottom before a big spike in search results for Lucid Motors. And this is on the stock chart side. This is back in Google Finance. You can see this is the beginning of the big spike in CCIV. So you can see the correlation between using Google Trends and then Google Finance to compare companies. Okay. I hope I didn't ramble on too much about that, but I wanted it to sink in for you guys to learn um, a, another way to do research on a company that you are thinking about investing in. Again, for Google Finance, it's google.com/finance, google.com/trends for both of those. And you can type in anything to compare um, different companies. All right, so back into the stock chart. Let me go here for just a real quick minute. Gonna look a little funny. Okay. All right, that looks good. All right, let's hop back into the stock chart. Okay, let's go look at Workhorse real quick because there's something I want to mention about Workhorse. Workhorse is a company right now, and I saw a title on Seeking Alpha about Workhorse that Workhorse and Oshkosh are now caught in a political storm. And that is the truest of true statements there could be. Oshkosh won the award, it seems, fair and square for the United States Postal Service contract. And many people, because Workhorse has a giant following. You want to do that comparison? Okay. All right. Let's add Oshkosh. All right, Oshkosh Defense. Let's take these other ones off. I only want to leave Workhorse in blue and Oshkosh Defense in red. Workhorse is blue. Workhorse is way up in search volume compared to Oshkosh Defense. Oshkosh is almost flat-lined compared to Workhorse until right here, this one peak right here for Oshkosh, and that's when the USPS contract was awarded to them. Nobody knew who they were because everybody was talking about Workhorse. So, big spike on Google because people were curious about who they were. Now, Workhorse has a very large following, and Workhorse has a very dedicated, loyal base of followers. That's something that Oshkosh does not have. So when it comes to the USPS contract, a lot of that passion went out towards Workhorse and the USPS. What's going on? The Biden administration says, hey, we need, well, let me back up a second. Earlier this year, President Biden said that we have, as the US government, the largest vehicle fleet in the world. And we need to change our vehicle fleet to be more green. We need an electrified fleet. So when USPS then shares a contract with Oshkosh Defense where 90% of the contract is for gasoline engine vehicles and only 10% of the contract is for electric drivetrain. That's as far as they went to say, electric drivetrain. We actually have a post up on tickertimenews.com about this Workhorse deal right here. Let me go to it real quick for you. But there is a political storm getting these two companies wrapped up in. Yes, yep. Thank you for the comment. I do need to work on speeding the website up. Yes. Okay, so Workhorse. Let me just read this for you real quick, just in case you missed it. A group of 17 U.S. House Democrats on Monday introduced legislation that would award $6 billion to the U.S. Postal Service to buy tens of thousands of additional electric delivery vehicles. The bill, sponsored by Rep. Jared Huffman, would require at least 75% of the new fleet to be electric or zero emission vehicles. And then there's a couple other parts to this. The legislation is backed by some key Democrats, one who chairs the Transportation and Infrastructure Committee, and another who chairs the Oversight and Reform Committee, and that committee oversees the USPS. These members of Congress do not want the contract with Oshkosh Defense and the USPS to go through as is. And they're not mad about the company. They're not mad at Oshkosh Defense. They're not mad at Workhorse. What they're mad about is the fact that in the contract it says Oshkosh is going to produce 90% of the vehicles as gasoline engine vehicles and only 10% with electric drivetrains. Now, I did a lot of research on this and found out a few interesting facts about the deal and what's happening. So, Workhorse, with their passionate and loyal fan base, they were behind Workhorse. So, Workhorse met with the USPS officials last week and talked about making the selection process for the contract more transparent. Um, Nothing came out of that meeting except for a brief statement from the CEO of Workhorse, and he basically said that the meeting with the UPS was a first step